In order to defeat the brand new supervillain dubbed Supernova, Spider-Man will need to join forces with lifetime foe Otto Octavius, but will it be enough? Or is a whole new type of betrayal right around the corner? Well, let's hop to the pages of Superior Spider-Man issue number 5 and find out what happens next together, shall we? So then, picking up directly from where the last issue left off, Spider-Man and Doc Ock had actually managed to put aside their bad blood long enough if it meant saving the life of Anne-Marie Marconi. Their big plan is simple enough. Spider-Man will go in dressed like the Superior Spider-Man to try and bring out Supernova so Ock can catch her in a brand new trap. Much like how he actually defeated her once before. Of course, what neither man actually knows is that Anne Marconi, badass that she is, actually managed to save herself. She gave Supernova the slip by aggravating the villain's own sense of claustrophobia. In fact, she basically ended up pulling a whole goddamn John McClane escaping through the air vents, only here's the problem. She almost ends up falling to her death and is actually forced to ask Supernova for help, and you know what? She actually ends up doing it even though to save Anne-Marie she has to go through the dark, tight vents, in doing so not only facing her own fear, but also proving to Anne-Marie that she's really not that bad a guy at all. In fact, she's just dealing with a lot of horrible trauma from being locked away. And the fact that she really can't control her brand new amazing powers. Geez, she can't even touch anyone without actively burning them. It's pretty sad. In fact, there's a moment there where it looks like Anne-Marie might actually be able to break down Supernova's walls once and for all and turn her back to the good side by revealing to her that the man actually responsible for her imprisonment wasn't actually Spider-Man at all, but only Doc Ock, who had hijacked Peter Parker's body. Unfortunately, though, before she can get those all too important words out, Spider-Man ends up showing up to goad Supernova into a fight that she's all too happy to take up. Now, I know what else you might be thinking. Geez, Supernova really gave Spider-Man a run for his money during the last battle. What the hell has he actually brought with him this time to make it more of a fair fight? Well, Ock has upgraded Peter's suit, complete with brand new tritium knuckles so that he can officially go blow for blow with Supernova, and why yes, he is sure to say that I have the power of the sun, not in the palm of my hand, but in the ball of my fist. And you know what, you really gotta give Dan Slott all the credit in the world for keeping that one alive. Of course, the knuckles are imperfect though, they're unstable, and the longer the fight goes on, the more risk Peter has to not only himself, but his enemy and pretty much everyone else around him. There is naturally, of course, a reason at the end of the day why this research never actually panned out for Doc Ock, no matter how many times he's tried it over the years. Now, when it looks like Spider-Man is getting in trouble, Doc Ock actually swoops on in to assist, though he ends up helping out in probably the most dickhead way possible. He tries to remind Supernova that he was actually the one who liberated her from her prison, and as such, they should probably try and kill Spider-Man together. The only problem is Supernova actively doesn't want to share in Spider-Man's destruction. As she puts it, he took everything from her. She can't eat, she can't sleep. A simple, quick death would be far too easy for the web slinger, and as such, Supernova wants to torture him first. Doc ends up making a major Hail Mary play by throwing Spider-Man deep into the woods, meaning that Supernova has to give chase and eventually gets herself stuck in Ock's brand new trap. And while it might certainly look like the day is saved and everyone can go home now, unfortunately, once again, Pete and Otto end up having themselves a little moral conundrum here. You see, the trap is incredibly inhumane. Supernova, as we saw before, isn't actually a bad person, and now she's in an incredible amount of pain. Peter assumed that the trap was just to slow her down so Ock could take her powers away. But as always, Otto had other plans. The Doctor actually sees Supernova as the grand culmination of all of his studies when it comes to trying to create a brand new energy source. Oh sure, she'll suffer, she might even end up dying, but isn't that enough for clean, reusable energy the world over? Isn't that enough for furthering the cause of science? Jeez, Otto, you just don't get it, do you? It seems like you get it, you're so close to getting it, but then you turn around and do stuff like this. Now, we're not done with twists and surprises just yet, though, because as the comic comes to a close, we check back on in with Spider-Boy. He escaped the hospital after his own near-fatal run-in with Supernova, and while trying to track Peter back down at Oscorp, Spider-Boy ends up stumbling upon what's left over from that last experiment wherein Otto tried to steal Peter's body again. A bunch of the spiders in the lab start talking to him by spelling out words in a very particular voice, one that sounds exactly like the most evil parts of Otto. The spiders then fully attack poor Spider-Boy, taking over his body and mind, and as the comic comes to a close, the internal monologue says that after some altercations, the superior Spider-Boy will be ready for action. And so that was Superior Spider-Man issue number 5, everyone, and ultimately I enjoyed this issue, but maybe not as much as the one that preceded it, for just the pretty clear reason that it seems like just when Otto might have turned the corner as a character, they end up walking his behavior back. And yes, I know I probably should have seen that coming, as this story was literally called Heel Turn, which gotta love the wrestling reference. But still, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't getting a little annoyed here. How many times does Otto have to look deep inside himself to find his inner hero before it actually ends up sticking? Like, I get it, clean, renewable energy is a noble pursuit. In fact, it's Otto's original pursuit, so maybe the fact that it has to be the last thing for him to overcome and realize that science that hurts people isn't actually good. But I can't help shaking the feeling that we just saw that. On things I really did like, though, again, Anne-Marie ends up being the best character in this series. I love that she saved herself. I love that she was able to actually endear herself to the villain and see the good inside Supernova, and it makes sense. Hey, they're both young women of science, so they're probably more alike than they're not. Gonna reserve judgment on the whole Superior Spider-Boy thing until I see more. Dan Slott is clearly a big fan of Superior Spider-Boy, and he really wants us to read about him and his adventures, even if I'm not fully convinced just yet. And while there's certainly some good story potential of Ock literally having to fight his more villainous mental image that's left over from his last experiment, I just hope this doesn't all end up being some kind of half-assed, half-hearted way to have their cake and eat it too. Look, Otto did learn his lesson. He did become the Superior Spider-Man again, but also we found a way to keep him a bad guy too. Because, I mean, really, if you're reading a book called Superior Spider-Man, it's because you loved what came before and you're actually invested in Otto's character journey, and I hope Slott doesn't end up dropping the ball on this one. Overall, I'd give this issue a 7 out of 10. Hey there everyone, it's your pal Cape Joel again, and if you're seeing my face right now, that means you watched to the end of the video, and I'll always be grateful for that. Retention helps in this crazy YouTube game, and so does becoming a patron. If you head on down to the description, you can find a link to my Patreon page. Recently just redid all the tiers, a lot of cool stuff offering up there, exclusive commentaries, exclusive polls, behind the scenes concept art for Capes and Quest. That's the brand new D&D show I've started soon. Never been a better time to become a patron. You can become a patron for as little as $1 a month and help the channel grow and, you know, help me continue to deliver content like what you just saw. So I want to thank you all, and I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.